up in Sakhalin. It's a very large industrial project. I believe it's the largest industrial project in Russian history. And it's been a gas project in the middle of a feeding area for the western grey whale population. So, we're very fortunate in that we have two main speakers today. Alexei Vladimirov from the Sakhalin Energy Company, who is managing many of the environmental aspects of this work within the company, and Randall Reeves, who is the chair of the Western Grey Whale Advisory Panel, and who will give a number of reflections also on what has been happening in the panel over the last few years. So at this point I would invite Alexei to start the presentation and tell us a little bit about your experiences to date.
Thank you, Carl. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Alexei Vladimirov. I'm a head of onshore environmental monitoring and research of Sakhalin Energy investment company. And I'm going to steal about 20 minutes of your time in this workshop to give you an overview of Sakhalin Energy and Sakhalin 2 project, the reasons why we joined IUCN, and the lessons learned from this cooperation. So, Sakhalin project and Sakhalin Energy, Carl gave you a brief description of what it is. So, I will go through and explain you what the project is. So, our company is pretty young. It was established in 1994. Our company was established under the production sharing agreement with the Russian Federation and Sakhalin Oblast region in Russia. And our company is investor and operator for the Sakhalin 2 project. This project was created to develop two oil and gas fields in Sakhalin, which are located on the Sakhalin shelf. Our company is young, but pretty professional, because we use our experience of our shareholders. So the main shareholders of the company are Gazprom, Shell, Mitsui, and Mitsubishi. We have two offices, one office located in Yuzhno in Sakhalin, and we have another representative office in Moscow. So this is a brief corporate management structure. So we have two agreements, production sharing agreement with Russian Federation and shareholders agreement, and two supervisory boards. One board from the Russian party and one shareholders supervisory board. These boards supervise the operations of the Sakhalin Energy Investment Company. So where we operate, Sakhalin Island is located on the far east of the Russian Federation in the Sea of Okhotsk. This is an island to the north from Japan. And our two oil and gas field license areas located on the northeast of Sakhalin Shelf. So we operate in the very severe conditions. We have about 8 months of winter season, and sometimes the temperature in winter drops below 40 degrees Celsius, below the zero. So ice season lasts for about half a year, and when we don't have ice, we have a number of storms, which are pretty heavy in this area, up to the highest point of the Richter scale. And also this is the area of the seismic activity. So all the project infrastructure related to the island. We have 3 platforms in the north of the island. We have onshore production facility. Also in the north, pipeline system, LNG plant, and oil export terminal in the southern part of the island. So why this project is important for Russia? This is the first project where offshore oil and gas platforms were installed. This is the first project and first LNG plant in the Russian Federation. So we run oil production, full year production in 2007. 2008, and for offshore gas production we started full year production in 2009. So The geography of our trade is mostly located and related to the Southeast Asia. But for the oil, the most remote customers are New Zealand and United States. For the LNG, they are Kuwait and India. Sakhalin Energy covers about 4% of the world's LNG market. So we export our oil mostly to 3 countries. They are Korea, China, and Japan. For LNG, our main customer is Japan, and about a quarter of our LNG goes to South Korea. So we're proud about our project. It's one of the world's largest integrated oil and gas production projects, and it's the first offshore oil and gas project in Russia. For Russia, it's the first project which is developed under production sharing agreement, and this is the first project in Russia to be project financed. Technically, it's one of the most complex and innovative projects in the world. But we operate in the Sakhalin Island, but we are not alone there, and we need to think about other issues. Sakhalin Island is the biggest island in the Russian Federation, and it has rich onshore and offshore wildlife. There are a number of endangered, endemic, and relic species of the plants, fish, birds, and mammals, and has very fragile ecosystems. Some indigenous tribes live in the island, and economics of the island is highly dependent on fishery. So, to this case, Sakhalin Energy runs a number of environmental programs to ensure that our risk is mitigated and we have no impact on the environment. So we study terrestrial and marine mammals, we study birds, and we have a number of specific environmental programs for the specific species like stellar sea eagle, diamond salmon, and first of all western grey whales. Also, we are operating with a tanker fleet, so we have a number of mainstream projects and mainstream programs related to the ballast water monitoring and monitoring of invasive species near our terminals. But the most important project is Western grey whale monitoring program. Why it's important? When we studied our operations in Sakhalin Island, we had quite a few information about these whales. So scientists thought that this population was completely extinct by the commercial whaling by the middle of the 20th century, until the small group of the whales was discovered near Sakhalin Island in 1983. At that time, scientists thought that the population consists of less than 100 individuals and decreasing. And the only known habitat for these whales is a small stripe along the northeast coast of Sakhalin Island, and this is the only place where mother-calf pairs can be met. In this case, these new projects, and particularly Sakhalin 2 project, there was a concern that it causes additional threat to these animals and may cause the extinction the second time in the history. So the company started to study these whales in 1997. Of course, the expertise and experience of one young company is not enough, so we joined our efforts with another operator on Sakhalin Shelf, ExxonMobil Limited, in the complex and very broad joint Western grey whale monitoring program. So this program was developed to get information about the distribution of whales, about the ecology of whales and their habitats, to understand population dynamics and social structure of the whales, and also to assess the impacts of the industrial activities, and first of all impacts from noise, and especially industrial noises. All this program was developed to therefore develop scientific-based protective measures to save these whales and protect them. It's one of the most comprehensive programs in the world. So different years we run different components of this program. So you can see that there are a number of distribution surveys, behavioral studies, acoustic studies, photo ID, genetic studies. Some of them is running this year, and some of the components were dropped because of the different reasons or moved to the activity basis. Also, we had two more studies outside the frame of the joint program. One is the distribution and photo ID studies in Kamchatka. This is another region for the feeding, area for the Grasshopper whales within the Russian waters. And also we run satellite tagging program. So our key findings was that the built-in feeding area was not the only area within the Russian waters and not the only feeding area near Sakhalin. We assessed the population structure and estimated that the number of the animals are 131. This is based on the 2009 data. So we, at the moment, we have a revision of this assessment, and it looks like the number of the whales are much more higher than it was assessed, and approximately more than 150 animals. And the increasing rate, growth rate of the population is about 3% a year. We found the start and the duration dates of the main feeding period near Sakhalin Island, and it helps us to plan our activities and operations on the shelf. We studied health conditions of the whales, and also we studied the impact of our operations on the whales. And to date, we have no statistically proved record that our activities had a significant impact or harm to these whales. Also, recent photo ID and satellite tagging data shows that our knowledge about these whales are incomplete and requires new studies. So what it shows, in 2010 and 2011, we ran a very comprehensive and technically difficult program of satellite tagging. So totally 7 whales were tagged near Sakhalin Island. 1 whale was tagged in 2010 and 6 more in 2011. Unfortunately, only 3 tags living long enough to show the migration routes of these whales. So all 3 whales, it was completely unexpected, passed North Pacific and approached the coast of North America. So based on the historical data, scientists believed it was a paradigm that the breeding grounds of these whales located in the Southeast Asia. So the results are completely changed our understanding of this population. So one of the whales, female called Varvara, spent last winter in the lagoons of Baja California and successfully came back to Sakhalin by the middle of May this year. So it opened the floor for the future discussion with the scientific society. So we are receiving a lot of data, and since the beginning of this program we have started to receive a lot of data about the whales. But the main question was how to interpret this data, how to use this data for development of protective measures, and how to mitigate this risk. And it was clear that industrial companies doesn't have this expertise. So in 2003, Sakhalin Energy approached IUCN to create and convene independent panel of the best marine mammal experts of the world to strengthen gray whale conservation. So first panel was established in 2004, and later this panel was re-established on the permanent basis. In the panel we called Western Gray Whale Advisory Panel. The mandate of this panel was renewed for another 5 years period in 2011. So the main goals and objectives of the panel is increase output of the research programs, provide advice how industry can minimize the impact, and provide advice on protective measures required. To date, only one company involved in this VGV process So we have a specific task for VGWeb with respect to our company, is to review the joint program results, review our main mammal protection plan and oil spill response plans, and develop monitoring and mitigation measures for our specific activities. First version of main mammal protection plan was developed in 2011 and was based on the world's best available practice today. Currently, the version 8 is in place. We have a regular revision of main mammal protection plan, and the adoption of this plan is possible only after reviewing by the panel. So we established the corridors for the navigation. We set a number of prohibitions, for example, prohibition to enter gray whale feeding grounds. We have marine mammal observers on board every vessel operating in this area. We set the speed limitations for the vessel and limitations to the flight dates. This plan is mostly for the regular operations of the company. It's clear that for specific programs and industrial operations offshore, we need special mitigation measures and monitoring programs. So first, we ran this in 2006. The issue and the case was construction of the pipelines from our platforms to establish full year production of oil and gas. The base case was to set the platform directly from offshore platform to the shore, but in this case, this pipeline to be crossed the feeding ground of the gray whales. So we asked the panel to review our plans and the environmental impact assessment report, and it was done in 2005. Based on the findings of the panel, the decision was taken to change the base case, and the alternative route 3 was chosen to avoid crossing field and feeding area. So it caused by moving pipeline 18 kilometers to the south. And during the pipeline construction, we had very extensive monitoring and mitigation program. Special measures and programs were developed as far as acoustic monitoring and behavior monitoring, and we had very strict mitigation measures to physical and chemical impacts. Next time, we had the involvement, very positive involvement for the 4D seismic survey. The goal for this, it was the first 4D seismic survey in Russia Federation. Originally it was planned for 2008, then moved to 2009, and in the end we ran this survey in 2010. So we need this time to develop a monitoring program to assess the potential impacts from the seismic survey and to prepare for the seismic survey from the scientific point. So the very extensive acoustic noise modeling was done, and we set mitigation line for the western gray whales to prevent entering noise in the feeding grounds. And also we run real-time acoustic monitoring combined with behavioral monitoring. We run mobilized distribution team to look at the distribution of the whales. And we had a very comprehensive vessel-based program, including MMO on board every vessel which was involved in these operations. And we still put a lot of efforts to analyze this data. So you can find more information about this survey in the brochure specially prepared for the Congress and Forum. Another survey was done this year, this summer. The original scope was planned for 2011, but postponed for 2012. It was caused by the fact that we were too late with all our operations and couldn't meet the main recommendation from the panel. And the main mitigation measure is to start and complete the survey as early as in the season as ice condition allows. So it means before the 15th of July, when the main feeding period near Sakhalin starts. So it was possible only in 2012. This seismic survey had less concerns than 41 because of the less acoustic footprint So we didn't run distribution and real-time acoustic monitoring, but we had achieved acoustic and real-time behavioral monitoring. And of course, we had marine mammal observers on board every vessel. So the first preliminary results from the survey and mitigation monitoring program represents that we were successful to complete all the operations, noise operations, before the whales came. Most part of the whales came into the area, and the noise levels on the mitigation line was the same as it was modeled. So the next step we are going to work with the panel is related to the self-filtering project. This is quite a new project for the company, and the case of this project is related to the production sharing agreement, which prescribes our company to ensure full exploration of the licensed area. So based on the data from 2010 4D seismic survey, we found that there are pretty rich hydrocarbon deposits, and to date it's likely that these deposits can be reached from the existing platforms. So there are several options how to deal with this project, and it depends on many factors, and first of all on the commerciality of the project, which is related to the prices on the world markets. So one of the options is the construction of the